All right, hey guys, what's going on? My name is Chris Huckes, and this is your Best Life Defined. Let's go ahead and get on this thing. So, here's an interesting question for you. When do you have time to think about you? I asked this question because I was out walking today, and I think about my life, and that's what's interesting about it. And for the people who know me, who know who I am, they're probably wondering, my God, what other ideas is he going to come up with? Because I've always spent a lot of time thinking about me, and the reason that I was forced to do that was as a kid, I was the only one who was there to take care of me. Okay, when I was I guess I was probably about 11 years old by this time. My stepdad and my mom decided that we were going to move to California, to Huntington Beach, California. And so there I am, and I'm a red-headed, freckle-faced kid. I'm poor as hell. So we moved to Huntington Beach, and I think we stayed in a motel for like 3 weeks, and the only thing we had to eat were peanut butter sandwiches. Not even any jelly, just peanut butter sandwiches while my stepdad found work and accumulated some cash. And it's funny, we actually had an old 56 Cadillac that we drove out to California, which amazes me because I'm a fixer, so I can't drive a vehicle without it being ready to go. My stepdad jumps in this truck and they just go, right? And so when I got to California, I didn't fit in. I wasn't a surfer. I wasn't Motown. I was poor white trash or poor Hispanic trash. I don't know what I was back then. So I learned to take care of myself. And I think I went to school, out of that whole school year, I went to school for about 2 weeks. I got in a fight with a surfer, beat him up pretty good, and then I just never went back. And it's because I spent a lot of time thinking about what I needed to do. And what's interesting about that, 11 years old, my mom to this day doesn't know that I never went to school. I would actually get up every morning and go through my routine. I'd go pick up my friend Sergio. His family was from Mexico. They would migrate to Mexico to grow crops in the summer, and then in the winter they would move to California, and his dad would work, right? Me and Sergio, we'd meet up and we'd just go wandering around the neighborhoods. We never went to school. It didn't matter. There was no accountability. Well, that kind of independence actually creates a connection within yourself. For me, what it did was it taught me to take care of me first. So all of my choices from that point on, and even before that, were about my survival. It was about staying out of the way of the fights and the beatings that my stepdads doled out on a regular basis, and to stay out of trouble and just keep low profile. And there's a benefit to that. Because when I retired, man, I couldn't believe the amount of time I had to think about me. And this podcast is the culmination of that. It's an idea that I came up with where I decided, you know what, I have something to contribute. There's some things I can do, and there's ideas I have. So how about this? And if you look back over the things that I've said over the last 100 and some odd days, there's a lot of mistakes technically. I'm not the most eloquent speaker. I haven't always been as comfortable as I am now sitting in this chair. But the thing is, everything that I have said to you has been vetted through me. In other words, it's something I've applied at some point in my life, and I've proven that it works. So when I'm sitting there in my head and I think about, well, what's next after this book? Well, I don't know yet. I'm going to think about that. And this brings me to the point. When do you think about you? See, I've lived your life. I know what it's like to wake up in the morning, your feet hit the ground, you're running like a bat out of hell until you finally get a glass of wine or a cold beer, and you finally get to sit down about 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night. Hit the bed about 10:30, watch a little TV, and then it's off to the races the next day. And what's ironic about that is the strategy everyone seems to have for the next 10, 20, 30 years. And the reason that most people are so reluctant to even consider any other idea is because they don't have time to think about it. Do you honestly have time to sit down and spend an hour a day with you, talking to you, about who you are, who you've become, where you are, and where you want to be? Chances are you don't. Chances are you're so busy being drug around by the life that you've created for yourself that you don't have time to sit down. You don't have time to say, What next? What next? What would I like to do? What would I like my life to look like? What can I do to ease the burden I'm carrying? Oh, no, no, no. And you know what? I got to tell you something. The social narrative, the world wants it that way. All those people who spend their time trying to reach in your pocket and take your money, all those people trying to sell you their ideas, and that's what they are. When you see that fancy ass commercial about some new app or some new car, some new trinket you want, do you actually think those people are doing that because they care about you? See, this is one of those moments, and thank you for sharing your time with me, but this is one of those moments when you have to ask yourself, who am I? Why do I believe that? What's really interesting about that is that we tend to polarize to people like us. No one wants to stand out on their own. I mean, that's the funny thing about COVID-19, I think, is that COVID-19 has caused us to separate ourselves from the world, to be individuals again. That's pretty uncomfortable. That's almost like a guy that drinks every night to stop drinking. It's like, wow, this is weird. I don't like feeling this way. I would much rather drink. Well, how does it feel to have so much time to be in your head? I know some people it drives them crazy. You know why? Because honestly, they don't know what to do with all that bandwidth. They don't have any plan, but it's never been that way before. But if you think about it, it's perfect. It's perfect because it's only by sitting down in the silence with ourselves that we become comfortable being with ourselves. It's only when we sit down and we step away from all the pressure to be this or to be that we can actually sit back and drop our shields and discover who we actually are. This is who I am. For my friends from working in the prison at the sheriff's department, and the prison was probably the best example. From those of you who remember me from the past, the only reason I was that way is because I didn't have time to stop and ask myself questions about me and get to know who I really was. You know who I am today? I'm a guy who wakes up every day with this dream, and it's a simple dream. It's a dream that somehow, through the experience and the struggle that I've had to face in my life, I can help someone avoid it. I can help someone wake up knowing that because they've learned something from me, because I bothered to take the time to document what I've been through and to share stories about my struggle, that somehow they will wake up one day inspired because they escaped something they had been facing and couldn't figure out how to do it. Maybe it's because of this conversation right here. Maybe it's because I actually said, hey, whoa, stop, wait a minute, no rush. What about you? Who's thinking about you? Who's thinking about what you need to do? Who's thinking about what's best for you? Stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. You know, it just goes back to me when I think about my life and all the reasons that I've made the choices I've made. I think what it comes down to is it always comes down to that damn lawnmower, that damn lawn, that yard, all that stuff. I mean, I'm standing there and I've got my entire life spread out on tables, and I'm talking about everything because we liquidated everything out of our life in a month. All we had left was the house, and the house went 6 months later. It sold 6 months later. That's all we had to think about. And I'm sitting there, and I've got all this stuff spread out, and I'm just waiting for people to start showing up and doing what they do. And it gave me time to think about me and why I had worked so hard to value all this crap that was getting ready to leave my life, and I was going to give it away for pennies on the dollar. And that's really what it comes down to, is the only reason you're not living a better life is because who has the time to think about that? See, I often point to the center of my chest. I'll get into some spiel about something while I'm on the podcast, and I'll be tapping myself in the chest, and I'll say it comes from in here. But what I've come to realize is most people don't have the time to even sit down with themselves. I don't have time for me. I got shit to do. I ain't got no time for me. There's life's calling. The life I've created requires me to be there. And then the noise. Oh, the noise. Just the rambling, the rumbling in our ears from social media and from the media and even from our friends and neighbors. You know, what's funny is we were in Florida. This is how bad it is. This is how bad it is as far as the noise that rings in our ears and our need to talk. We're walking in Florida, and we usually walk through the condominiums in the rich areas of Florida, and Sandy and I, we're just in amazement by the world around us, by these amazing homes and the amazing country and the amazing life we live in. We're just talking, so we're being friendly, and this is pre-COVID. This was last year or 2 years ago in Destin, Florida, and we're walking, and this guy comes up. He's got his wife with him, and hey, how you doing? A beautiful day, and we get to talking. And out of the blue, this guy tells us, they need to build the wall. Now, we were talking about our adventures and our life and all the things we were doing and how amazing it was and how nice it was to meet them. And out of the blue, this idea comes out of this guy's head. He verbalizes it. You know why that noise came out of his head? It's because he didn't have time. He wasn't thinking about anything else. He wasn't thinking about this amazing moment. He wasn't thinking about how wonderful it is to be alive, how wonderful it is to wake up every day knowing that you can still choose to live a better life. Because his whole focus was on filling up his mind with people and their ideas that are just like his. If you want to get to know who you are, here's what you need to do. You need to set aside a time every day to spend time with you. Not to spend time with you on your phone, not to spend time with you watching TV, not to spend time with you distracted. You want to start figuring out who you are and what your life should look like. It's about spending time with you to think about you. My wife laughs at me because I'll be out there in the field next to the RV park and I'm just going to town. I am talking about this and I'm talking about that and I'm thinking about me and I'm working things out and I'm answering questions as I ask them. And crazy or not, guess where I'm sitting right now? I'm sitting debt-free. We have money in the bank. We both retired before we were 55. And the world is our oyster, even the world among COVID-19. In less than a week, I hook my truck up to my home and we head north to Grand Rapids, Michigan. And that's not something you can just do unless you think about it. It's not something people do. And the reason they don't do it is because they don't spend enough time thinking about it so they're comfortable with the choice. See, while you're distracted, you're out there distracted thinking about everything else. Who's thinking about you? Who's planning your best life? Who's planning your next steps towards some dream you've had but have never been able to launch? Crazy? Do I sound like a preacher? Do I sound like I'm chewing your ass? I don't mean to. I'm just throwing this out there because even if you're not ready to listen to it, I guarantee there's going to be someone down the road in my generation, in my lineage, some of my grandkids, my great-grandkids. Maybe when I'm gone, maybe what'll happen at my funeral, my son will just throw up a TV at the funeral and at the big party they're going to throw when I'm gone. And all it's going to be is video after video of me talking about this, talking about that. They're going to appreciate it. They will laugh. They will smile. They will talk about how much of a dork I was. There's going to be a lot of emotion and a lot of feeling associated with the fact that I even took the time to do this. And what would even be cooler is if you were one of those people. If you were one of those people in the background who'd endured my boring ass speeches and my ass chewings and all the things I do, and you were one of those people in the background who heard I died, and you go, yeah, man, thanks, Chris, thanks. How much more perfect does it get than that? Life's about giving, man. Life's about living. Life's about waking up every day, striving to do something more than you've already done, striving to wake up and be excited about the idea that kindness rules, that it's okay to be empathetic. I feel sorry for a lot of people, not sorry in the way that, oh, in condescending, but I just have true empathy. I would hate to be a cop. I was law enforcement, and it's changed. Even the good cops are bad cops now. And I certainly would hate to be in the inner city as a young black man or young black woman, and you're dealing with this chaos on both sides. And what's funny is no one can hear the story, because no one has sat down to think about them. We haven't sat down to figure out even who we are. Who we are has been lost in the mix a long time ago. Cool thing about COVID-19, if there was a cool thing about it, it would be the fact that it has made everybody stop and reevaluate their value system and what's important. And for those lucky among us who have actually capitalized on this and are coming away with this as being a better person, as being more connected to who they are on the path to something amazing, and that's why I'm here. I didn't plan on the COVID-19 being... I was going to talk about trips to Aruba, but basically what we have to talk about now is us. Is fixing us and making our life as good as it can be given the environment that we're in, because I guarantee you the world doesn't care about you. The world is not going to change what it's doing because you're struggling. So my suggestion, if you don't do anything else in your life, wake up tomorrow morning and the first thing you do is spend 10 minutes thinking about you. Thinking about who you are, what you love, what you hate, what you would like to change, what your dreams are. Do that every morning until you're so inspired by something that you just can't let go, that you take action on it. And then you continue taking action on it and thinking about it and planning for it. And before you know it, you're going to be someplace you never dreamed you'd be. Sandy and I are a prime example of that. She was 16, I was 18, we had a baby on the way. We're not supposed to be retired at 54. We're not supposed to be waking up with no obligations in the whole world to choose from. A world of choices. And yet here we are. And it can happen for you too. Hey, listen, I really appreciate you following me. I appreciate you taking the time to listen. I'm sorry if I'm dragging these things out, but I feel short on time myself. I feel like it's important. I've found my groove. I feel comfortable here, and I'm going to keep coming back. I hope you will too. If you're watching me on YouTube, I would ask you to check out my podcast. That way when you're driving down the road or you're out doing something you can't watch the screen, you can still listen to what I have to say. I'm on Podbean. It's Your Best Life Defined. Podbean, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Bullhorn, Pandora. Check it out. Come and say hi. I'd love to hear from you. Post a comment, even if it's a negative comment. I just want to hear from you. I'm doing this for you. If you're listening to me on the podcast, go check it out on YouTube. It's Your Best Life Defined. That is the channel. I've got like 180, 90, 100 videos. These are all video recorded. If you want to see who's actually telling you these stories, I would appreciate it. Please subscribe. When I see a subscribe button, it's like Christmas morning to me. It feels like, okay. It puts fuel into my tank. It gives me the energy and the belief that it makes a difference, that what I'm saying will make a difference and people are listening. People are starting to pick up on it. So I appreciate that. I appreciate everything you do. I appreciate you showing up. As always, anything you do from here on out, do it from a platform of kindness. Because kindness is a really amazing tool, because it causes people to drop their shields. It takes down barriers and it brings us together. And as always, just remember, today's your day. Make it a good one.